Okay, okay, we will discuss that. Okay, as of now, let us do these questions. Okay, so the first question here, what is the first question says? The first question says that an electroscope is a device which is used to find if an object is charged or not charged, or does it means that we have to see whether the given object is magnetic or non-magnetic?
So can you zoom it?
Yeah, sure. So that will be what? What will be the right answer for the first one?
Charge.
Charge, no? Okay. Electric current is to be passed from one body to another. For this purpose, the two bodies must be joined by
Copper
Copper
wire.
wire.
copper wire. Obviously, that is copper wire here. The movement of the Earth's place causes
Earthquake.
Earthquake.
earthquakes, and it can also cause
Tsunami.
tsunami. Very good. Okay. Next question. Two charged objects are brought close to each other. Choose the most appropriate statement from the following options.
Sir, option C.
They are C.
Good. Okay. One thing I have noticed in one of your paper, like Alif, there I have noticed that you are like questions carry different weightage. There are different sections in the revision test series. There are some questions that carry 2 marks, 3 marks, 4 marks, and 5 marks respectively. So, like you need to add more points. If a question carries 4 or 5 marks, so it has a more weightage. So you need to add more point. You have to elaborate that topic. Okay. Just let me just check like as I was going through one of your sheets today. So there in that sheet, I have noticed one thing. Just let me open it. Like if you were to look at answer of question number 36. Okay, now. So there you had to explain about the phenomena of lightning and how basically charges develops in the clouds. So you have answered it in just one line. And this question carries a weightage of I think 3 or 4 marks. So but in your actual school examination, if you were to just write one line answer for this, the examiner will not be giving you sufficient mark. Getting it? It was a 4 marks question and you have just written one line that when two charges attract each other in the cloud. No, that's not the whole explanation for the question. You have to elaborate it. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Try to, and this is for others also. Okay, now this is for others also in the class. Okay. Okay. Question number 5. Which of the following is not likely to cause tsunami? Yes.
Lightning.
Lightning.
Obviously. Okay. Next.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes,
So
Chakrika.
the mantle, right?
Mantle, correct. Oh yes, Chakrika. Continue.
Actually, in the test, pollution of air and water, did you make the test paper, sir?
Oh yeah, I got your test paper and I have checked it once again. Okay, na, and you have got it on I think 27 or 28. Okay.
Yes,
you
sir.
had actually missed one of the sheet. Okay.
Yes, sir. I resent it.
You haven't received it yet.
No, sir. I have resent it to you.
Yeah, you have resent it to me. I have seen the message. But
Okay.
have you received your marks yet or not?
No, sir. Not yet.
Okay, I will check that with the team. Okay.
Yes, sir. And so there's actually few questions where the exam sheet, it had a few errors because in one question the question was incomplete.
Yeah, there was one question, and I was notified about that. There was a error in that question. Okay. Basically, the question was incomplete. Okay. Actually, while that question was sent now, so in the PDF, that question was kind of cut. Okay, now like the screenshot of that question was cut. Thereby, the
Yes.
typist thought of it as the full question, and he typed it like it was there. Okay, now.
Yes.
So
Yes.
sometimes one or two error might occur. Okay.
Yes.
Okay. But did you receive the answer question for it, complete question for it or not?
No, sir. I haven't received it yet.
You haven't received it yet.
No,
Okay.
sir. But it's all right because I'm already done with the test. So
Okay. Question number 7. Okay, we have done this one, I think. This question, I think we have done this one. There were a few more questions that were left. I think we were over with that, I think. Right now? Yeah, I think we were over with that. Okay. These questions were there and these questions we have done actually in the class. Okay, anyways. So today we are going to start the new chapter. Yes, Khadija, how are you?
I'm good, sir. How are you?
Yes, I'm also good. Khadija, have you shared your syllabus with the team?
No, not yet. I'll share it today.
Okay. Make sure to share it because I still don't have any idea about your syllabus. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Huh. In just 1 minute, I will be sharing my screen. Yeah. So today we'll be doing the chapter Age of Adolescence. Okay. Earlier we were doing this chapter, but due to your requirements, that chapter was skipped at that time. So we are going to continue from that. Okay. Age of Adolescence. Okay. Also, some of you are not giving all the tests. Khadija, have you been giving all the tests? Yes. Now just let me take the PPT and then we are going to continue. Okay. Okay. So before we continue with this chapter, Alif, Chakrika, and Gauri, your syllabus has been completed. For Chakrika, the only chapter that is left is this one, Age of Adolescence, right now.
and
And
metals and
yeah,
metals, it's
there will be a half an hour class for that chapter where you and Roni will be called. Okay. And I'm thinking before the next class, I will be calling both of you. Okay, now. So in the next class, try to be available in the next class. Before the next class, like prior to the timing of the class, be available. Okay. And Khadija, if you can share your syllabus with the team right now, please see if you can share it with them. Okay, now.
Yes, sir.
All right, so let us start the chapter Age of Adolescence. So in this chapter, Age of Adolescence, there are lots of important things which we are going to study. Like first of all, we will understand what is adolescence. Okay, now we will understand what is adolescence. So just let me give you a brief idea. It's basically the period between the childhood and the adulthood. Adolescence is basically the period between the childhood and adulthood. During this period, what happens? The body it undergoes several changes. Okay, body undergoes several changes and it leads to reproductive maturity. The person becomes mature to reproduce. Getting it now? So we see that when the body will be when the person children would be of the age 10 or 11 years, so at that time certain changes will start to occur in their body. Certain changes will start to occur in their body, because of which the male and the female children will be differentiated from each other. Getting it? Like when a children is of the age 7 years, 8 years, or 9 years, we are hardly able to differentiate between who is a girl child and who is a boy child. Okay, so that is one thing. So in the age of adolescence, it will start once the children reaches the age of 10 to 11 years, and it will last up to the 18 or 19 years of age. Right now, so between this 10 to 11 years till 18 to 19 years, all the changes would have taken place in their body. All the major changes would have taken place in their body. Like we will see appearance of hair in different parts of the body. um, uh, growth of facial hairs in the case of boy. Then growth of hair in the armpit and in the pubic region. The height will be increasing. The muscle mass will be increasing. Some of the changes will be common for both the boys and the girls. Like height of boys and girls, both of them will be increasing. Initially, the heights of girls increases at a faster rate as compared to boys. Okay. Then their height increases, muscle mass increases, but the manner of distribution of fat and muscles in girls and boys is different. More amount of fat and mass will be distributed along the waist, okay, in the case of the girl child. Getting it? Then there are other changes, like there will be mood swings. Person would be going through some behavioral and through some psychological changes. Mood swings will be very common. Sometimes the person will be feeling very elevated, very happy. Sometimes they will be feeling very low. Getting it? So not only the physical changes takes place in their body, but some emotional changes also takes place. They become emotionally mature. They will have something called as self-consciousness, or like a state where they will reach that they will be kind of you might have seen that people at this age will easily get irritated. Children at the age in the adolescence age will become easily irritated. Getting it? So all these things will be learning, and all these changes starts to take place till from the age of 10 to 11 years and will last up to 18 or 19 years. In some of them, the adolescence can start late and it will last late. But in some of them, it can start early. Okay. Also note down that adolescence in girls, it may begin a year or two earlier than in the boys. Also, it may vary from person to person. So the age of adolescence usually might begin earlier in the case of girls as compared to the boys. Okay. Then we will learn in detail what are the changes that will take place in this time period. What are all the changes that will take? Like the height will be increasing, the shape of the body will change. They will be changing the voice of the children. Many times there will be development of pimples and acne on the face. Then sex organs will be maturing. It will be developing and it will become mature, and they will start to release mature sex cells. Okay. Also, a person is said to reach some sort of intellectual maturity at this age. Okay, na? So that is one thing. Then later on, we'll also learn about there are some characters, some secondary sexual characters that will also develop in them. Okay. So I just given you a brief of what are the things we are going to learn here. Also, we'll be learning lots of other things which we will get to know as we go into the topics. So let us start the class and let us learn about a very basic thing. See, the most of the animals, they would be participating in reproduction once they have attained a certain age only. Why is it so that after attaining a certain age only they will be able to participate in reproduction and not early? What is the main reason?
Because the reproductive parts are not mature yet.
Exactly. The reproductive organs are not matured yet, and in fact, the reproductive organs are before a particular age. The reproductive organs does not produce mature sex cells. Okay, what is the sex cell produced by the male body called as?
Testosterone.
That is hormone.
Sperm.
Sex cell is the sperm. Okay, and that in the case of female child is
Ovum.
Ovum.
ovum. Okay, and the organ is ovary. So human beings, they can reproduce only after a certain age because the reproductive system starts working only after a certain age. Working in sense, it means they become mature after only a certain age. Getting it? That is one thing. Also, we see that in this chapter, we will learn about the different changes that will take place in the human male body and the female body, after which a person will become capable of reproduction. Okay. Also, we will also discuss about the role played by different hormones in initiating the working of a male and female's reproductive system. Like in the case of male, testosterone hormone is responsible for the reproductive development, and in the female child, the progesterone and hormones like agestrone, mainly agestrone, is responsible for development of the reproductive organs. Getting it now? So hormones will also help, and they will also bring about the changes that will make a child grow into adult, and they will also help uh, um, that will also make them fit for the process of reproduction. So there's a role of hormone also. Let us understand about adolescence first of all. Okay, this is the basic thing which I was discussing, which we were discussing moments ago, that human beings can reproduce only after a certain age in a time period in their lives after growing up into adult. This is because changes in hormones in their bodies that makes them capable of reproduction. Because after a certain age, hormones certain hormones are released in their body that brings about different changes and hence making them capable of reproduction. So while a child is of the age of 5 to 10 years, at that time, neither their reproductive organs are mature, their reproductive organs, it isn't mature. That is one thing. Next thing is that the hormones are also not released in the sufficient quantity to bring about the changes. That is one thing. Talking about adolescence, as we know that growing up, it's a natural process for every organism here. And growth will begin in case of humans. Growth begins from the day a baby is born. The first day the child is born, after that the growth of the baby begins. A baby will be growing, it will become a child, and then a young human being below the age of full physical development is basically what a child is. A child is basically it's a young human being below the age of full physical development. That is how we define child. Getting it now? But when a child crosses the age of 10 or 11 years, there's a sudden spurt in his body growth. There's a sudden notice, we will be observing some noticeable changes in their body. And the rapid changes which will be taking place in their body from this age of 10 years onwards are the part of growing up, and these changes indicates that the person is no longer a child, uh, no longer a child, but he or she is on the way to become an adult. So when they reach the age of 10 or 11, from here they start on to become a adult. Okay, now, so what is the definition for an adult? Yes, how do we define adult? We define adult as a mature human being who is fully grown and developed. Adult is basically fully mature plus grown up and developed human being. And developed, that is what an adult is. In what terms of developed, and in what terms of mature? In terms of their body's height and size plus their reproductive organs also. Okay, now when we look at the adolescence now, it's a period of transition. It's a period of transition, like this is a period of life in the human beings when a person is neither a child neither an adult. Like a child between the age of 10 or 10 between 10 to 18, what will you call that child? We'll be calling them as teenagers, but not an adult now. It is only after the age of 18 or 19 years they are called as adults. Getting it, all of you? So this is a phase of transition, and in this phase of transition, the child will neither be an adult but also not be a child. The person is neither an adult, neither a child, but they are going through a phase of transition in their life. Got this, everyone? So what I'm saying that the transitional I was saying that, just 1 minute. So this is a transitional phase where a human is neither a child nor an adult. Okay, now so the person is neither a child nor an adult. Okay, and this is a transitional period where physical and mental development will be occurring between the childhood and adulthood. So say that this is the childhood. This is the childhood, and that is less than 10 years. That is what childhood is. And this is adulthood. That is more than 80 years. That will be called as adulthood.
Yes, sir.
So in between these two periods, what we see that the person goes through physical changes plus mental changes. Okay, now so these changes will be taking place, and once they would have attained the age of 18 or more than 18 years, so then the person will be said to have completely become mature, and in fact they would be said to have reached the age of puberty, where they would be completely capable of reproduction, where their body would have completely grown, their sexual organs would have completely grown. Now they will be capable of reproduction. So what we're seeing here in adolescence, it's a time period in life when the body leads to reproductive maturity and experiences some changes. Also, it will vary from different person to different person. It will vary from person to person. It includes the teenage. Basically, the child in this transitional period is of the age of 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, or this much of years. So they are often called as teenagers. Okay, now they are often called as teenagers who are neither child, who are neither adult, but in between that. Then when we look at puberty, puberty is that time period in the life when animals and human beings they become capable of reproduction. Okay, and the changes that occur in the body during the adolescent age are an indication that an individual is reaching towards puberty. So whatever changes occurs during adolescence, whether it be their physical change in the shape, size, height of the body, a change in the voice of the body, and their reproductive maturity, all these are indication that the human being is reaching towards puberty. Okay, now hope this should be clear. This adolescent should be clear, I think. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So who will
Sir,
be
can you
called an?
explain it again?
Yeah, sure. Talking about adolescence, like what we have discussed so far, we have discussed that it's the period of life of a person when the body undergoes a lot of changes. A body undergoes lot of changes. It starts from the age of 10 or 11 years. Okay, and in these changes will be like the increase in height, change in the shape of the body, change in size of the body, change in voice, and growth and maturity of the reproductive organs. Okay, now so this is a transitional phase in the lifespan of a human being. Okay, because of which what we get to see that the person will once they reach the age of 18 or 19, they are said to have reached the age of reproductive maturity. Okay, so it's a phase of transition. It's a phase of transition, or we can simply say that it's the time between childhood and adulthood. It's the time between the childhood and the adulthood. Getting it, Khadija and others?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And what is puberty? We will be learning about it in detail. Like it is basically the time when adolescents become sexually mature. Talking about puberty, we know that like although a baby is born with a full set of reproductive organs, whether it be male or female, they are born with complete sexual organs. Right now, like testes, a vast difference, and every other organs in the male and female body are present since the time of birth. Right, but these organs do not function during the first 10 to 12 years of life. During the first 10 to 12 years of life, they do not function. The first thing is that, as I said, that although reproductive organs are present in complete set in male and female child since birth, but they remain unfunctional. They do not function. They do not function during the first 10 to 12 years of life. Okay, now, so but remains non-functional till 10 to 12 years of their lifespan. But what happens at the after 10 or 11 years, or after 12 years? Basically what happens, the body will start to produce some hormones. Okay, now, and under the influence of those hormones, the reproductive organs become active at the time. At that time, the reproductive organs become active, and then they will be known as puberty. And that time will be known as puberty. Or in other way, we can say that basically the reproductive system of humans will start functioning at that time, and that time is called as puberty. All, if you're getting it so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Okay, now. So what are we saying, that the reproductive organs mature, the reproductive organs matures under the influence of hormones that are produced by our body, hormones, and that time when the human body will become reproductively mature, that time is called puberty. Is called puberty. So that is the case with the puberty here. Okay, na? It's the basically the period during which adolescent boys and girls would reach sexual maturity, and thereby they will become capable of reproduction. That is what puberty is. So it's a time period in the life when animals and human beings becomes capable of reproduction, and the changes that occurs in the body during the adolescent age, they are indication that an individual is reaching the puberty. So whatever changes were happening between this phase, between this time, so all of that was an indication that the person is reaching the puberty. Okay, now. Also, this puberty, this will be a period of several years in which rapid physical growth or will be occurring that will lead to sexual maturity. And in fact, puberty is the time when a child's body starts to change into an adult's body. Furthermore, we get to know that puberty will tend to start earlier in the case of girls, basically in the females as compared to the males. Generally, girls, we see that we get to see that girls would be attaining puberty at a very lower age of about 10 to 13 years, while boys reach the puberty at a comparatively higher age of 12 to 14 years. Okay. So what we are getting here, what we get to see here, when the person is reaching, like in the case of the girl child, when they are of the age 10 to 13 years, let me draw it over here. When the girl child is of the age is in the age of 10 to 13 years, so thereby their reproductive organs starts to mature. Their reproductive organs have started to mature at that time. So they are so there we see that the puberty has started in them. Okay, now puberty has started in them. So girls would attain puberty at a very lower age of 10 to 13 years. While when we see in the case of the boys or males, so they will attain puberty. The puberty will be attained in them at a higher age of about 12 to 14 years of age. 12 to 14 years of age. And at puberty, many changes occurs in the body of the boys and girls. Both of them, like whether it be boys or girls, there's a rapid increase in the rate of growth, the height, etc. during this puberty. So that is the case of the puberty, and this puberty will be marked by the development of the sexual characters in the boys, like some secondary sexual characters in their body, like the growth of the facial hair, deepening of the voice in the case of in the girls, in the boys, I mean to say, then development of the breast and start of menstruation cycle in the case of girls. But the most important and the most significant sign of puberty in the girls is the beginning of menstruation or the monthly periods. Now, you might be wondering so far that there are so many similarities in the two. Then, how is adolescence different from puberty? Yeah, you might be wondering about this. Like, how is adolescence different from puberty? Did this question came in anyone's mind or not? Yes, Chakrika, Aleph, Gauri, everyone. So let me clarify that. What we have learned about adolescence, talking about adolescence, what we learned, it's a period of changes. Like it starts from the age of 10, 11 and lasts till the age of 18, 19. It's a time when the child transitions from childhood to adulthood, where the child transfers from will the person transfers from childhood to adulthood. Okay. When we talk about puberty, so in the case of puberty, especially we talk about the reproductive maturity. In the case of puberty, we especially talk about reproductive maturity. But when we talk about adolescence, we talk about all the things all together. Try to understand the difference here. Like adolescence is a broader term in which all the changes, like it be whether it be the growth of hairs in the face, in the armpits, and in the pubic region, whether it be change in the voice, growth of muscles, increase in height, etc., along with growth of sexual organs. All these changes will be occurring in this time period. Okay, now between 10 to 18 or 19 years of age. But when we particularly talk about puberty, here we particularly talk in terms of reproduction. In puberty, we are not talking about any other aspects like growth of height and growth of muscles, etc. We are only concerned with the maturity of reproductive organs here. All if you're getting this difference between the two?
Yes, sir.
Okay, na? So that is the thing, that adolescence is defined as the period between 10 to 18 or 19 years where the person would be going through so many transformations, whether it be physical or mental transformation. But when we talk about the puberty is defined as a phase where the child's where child's sexual characteristics starts to develop. It starts to get mature. Okay, now. So hope this much should be clear. Okay. Then also when we look at the puberty, like there are some other changes that will observe. Like basically when we look at this adolescence, age of adolescence, so many changes will be taking place in their body, and which we are going to discuss each of them one by one. First of all, let us look at two smaller changes. Like when we talk about changes in the body, so we will get to see that in the case of the voice box will swell and it will become visible in the neck region. Basically, this is the voice box, or also called as larynx. Larynx, basically, that is voice box. So when the boy would be reaching the age of adolescence, he'd be in the age of adolescence, the voice deepens. You observe that the voice would be deepening. Initially, the voice would be cracking. It would be like a hoarse sound, but later on it will become deeper. Why is it so? It is because the voice box, or basically the larynx, it swells up. So due to the swelling of the voice box, it becomes visible. Okay, now it becomes visible. Many times this swelling of the voice box can occur through many other reasons also. If there's a infection caused by some bacteria, if there's a viral infection, that can also lead to the swelling of this larynx, by the way. But usually in a natural transformation also this happens. And this is visible, and this is called as Adam's apple. Why do we call this as Adam's apple? Any idea? Any reference? So this has been called as an Adam's apple, because like you all would be aware of this, that the prophet Adam and Eve, and you'd be aware of the story of Adam and Eve, right? Adam and
No,
Eve.
sir.
No, like Adam was the first prophet in Islam. Okay, na? In English it is pronounced as Adam. In Urdu we pronounce this as Adam. Okay, so he was the first prophet, and he was expelled from the from um, from paradise. Basically, he was there was a forbidden fruit in a tree. There was a forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge. So there was a tree of knowledge, and there was an apple on that tree, and it was forbidden to eat. So Adam and Eve, they used to live in paradise. Adam and Eve, they used to live in paradise, and they were forbidden by the God to not go near to this tree of knowledge. Tree of knowledge. But they were tricked by a snake, and a snake tricked them into eating that apple. So while the prophet Adam ate that apple, it got stuck in his throat. That it is said that, how much it is true, I'm not sure of that, but it is said that that apple got stuck in his throat, and because of this, it is said as Adam's apple. Getting it, everyone? How this term came?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no? So that is the thing. So this is one of the change that will occur in the case of the boys. So due to the swelling of larynx, that is voice box, the voice deepens. The voice deepens. Furthermore, when we look at the pitch of the boy, so pitch of boy's sound is low. Boy's sound is low. But when we look at the girl's sound, when we look at the girl's voice, so there we get to see that their pitch is high. Pitch is high. Pitch basically refers to the number of frequencies or number of vibrations in 1 second is called as pitch. Like the number of vibrations that will be produced by the sound that in 1 second, that is what a pitch is. Getting it, guys?
Yes,
Basically,
sir.
you can understand it as the shrillness of a sound. Okay, now that will be determined by the frequency. If the frequency is high, so thereby the sound will be having high pitch. If the frequency is low, so thereby the sound will be having a low pitch. That's why the voice of the boys are deep and heavy, because their frequency of the voice is low, and here thereby the pitch is low. Okay, now? So what I said here, that pitch of boys sound is low because their sound have a low frequency. But in the case of girls, their pitch is high because of high frequency sound. High frequency sound. That is one thing. Okay, so that was all about the change in the voice. Now talking about the, like we also know, like why pimples will be common in the teenagers. Also, sebaceous gland and sweat gland will be secreting oil and sweat on the skin. Because of that, germs will accumulate and will cause pimples and other skin diseases. So why does it happen? So during the teenage, the sweat gland and the sebaceous gland will be secreting. Basically, their secretion will speed up. Okay, no? So first of all, let us understand this. This is your skin. This is the skin. And when we look at under the skin, when we observe our skin, so we get to see that there are two glands present inside our skin. There are two glands. One is the sebaceous gland, that where I'm pointing here, and another one is this sweat gland. This one, this one. The function of the sweat gland is to produce sweat, while the sebaceous gland would be producing oil. Okay, now sebaceous gland secretes oil. Getting it, everyone? Also, that oily substance that is secreted. Many of you would be aware that the sebaceous gland secretes a oily substance called as sebum. That is sebum, sebum. The sweat gland that you see over here, sweat gland secretes the sweat, which is the waste produced in our skin's cell. Okay, now when we look at the sebaceous gland and the sweat gland, like when we look at the sebum, now it has several functions. It protects our skin from friction, and it also prevents our skin from moisture. Getting it? It will be preventing our skin from moisture and from friction also. Just imagine if our skin were to be very dry. So due to friction, our skin will be damaged, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right now, like in the winters, because of dryness, because of the dry air, our skin loses the moisture. So thereby we have to apply some moisturizer on the skin. Right. Also, this sebum protects us from pathogens also. It provides protection to the skin from disease-causing microorganisms also. So it has got several functions. It will be keeping the skin hydrated, will prevent the skin from friction, and also prevent the skin from disease-causing microorganisms. But what if the secretion of sebaceous gland at the sebum is too much? What if this oily substance is too much? Huh? So what if oily substance secreted on the skin is too much? So thereby it will become a nutritious medium for bacteria to feed upon. Getting it, guys? It will become a nutritious substance for the bacteria to feed upon when the secretion is too much. Then what about the sweat gland? Why does the sweat gland basically why more sweat is secreted in a teenager? Because of the increased metabolic activities in our body, the rate of respiration also increases. And what we know, what are the products in the respiration? Yes. What are the products obtained in the process of respiration? I hope you guys haven't forgot about respiration.
Yes,
What is
sir.
respiration, Gauri?
So the process in which we humans take in oxygen and give out carbon dioxide is called respiration.
We take, what do we take? Oxygen, and then we give out carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
Okay, that is simply breathing. Many times the term respiration is used exchangeably for breathing, but specifically respiration is the breakdown of the food. No, it's the process of breakdown of the food, and due to breakdown of the food, energy and carbon dioxide and water is released in the human body, right? So what happens when in the body of a teenager, the metabolic rate is more. Due to increase metabolic rate, metabolic basically here refers to the different kind of chemical reaction that goes on inside our body. Whether it be the digestion of the food, that is a chemical process. Whether it be the breakdown of the food, that is also chemical process. So during the teenage, now all these process, its rate will be higher. So due to increased metabolic rate in teenagers, the rate of respiration is more. The rate of respiration is more. That's why you will see now that that a teenager would be eating usually more food than the adults, okay, or than the person who is in their 30s or 40s, because the food that they are eating, since they are very energetic, since they would be doing lots of workout, playing lots of games, so thereby the foods will be instantly utilized. Like for example, when we are running or when we are playing some sports, let's say someone is in his or her teenage, so thereby their rate of respiration increases, their rate of breathing also increases. So when their body takes in more oxygen, so when the oxygen that is being taken by the body is more, so food will be broken down fast now, isn't it, Chakrika, Gauri, Alif, and Khadija? Try to understand this thing.
Yes, sir.
That's why after a heavy workout, we feel hungry, because during the workout, our breathing rate increases. So we take in lots of oxygen, and all that oxygen will be utilized to break down the food. So all the food has been broken down in the cells. Now the cells are empty. Now our stomach is empty. Hence we feel hungry. So due to increased metabolic rate in the teenagers, like in the increased digestion, increased respiration right now. So the respiration rate is more. And what we know in the case of respiration, that glucose is broken down in the presence of oxygen to obtain carbon dioxide plus water plus energy is given out. So if the rate of this process is increased, if it is increased, so thereby more amount of water will be released. And how is water released in our body? There are two ways basically, one in the form of urine, another in the form of sweat. Now that is why the sweat gland will be producing more sweat. So now are you guys able to relate with this, like why there's increased sweating in the teenagers usually?
Yes, sir.
What about others? Others are silent in the class. You guys
Sir,
not
can you
getting it?
explain again?
Yeah, sure. What about others? Shakrika and others? Yes,
Understood, sir.
understood. Okay, okay. See, basically what I said, that when a person is in the age of adolescence, let's say he is of 14 or 15 or let's 17 years. So we see that they are usually very energetic. They will like to play games more as compared to studies. Their hunger will be more. Why is it so that their hunger is more? Because when we are doing some activity, like let's say we go on do some sports activity. So what happens during the sports, during doing some activity, during doing some intense activity, our breathing rate increases, so we take in more oxygen. So if more oxygen is available, so more amount of food will be broken down very quickly. So if the rate of this reaction increases, so more amount of water will be produced here. Getting it? If more amount of oxygen is available, so thereby the food will be broken down instantly, and more amount of carbon dioxide and water and energy will be released. And as a result of that, we feel hungry also. That is another thing. But the main thing is that more amount of water is being released here. And what is this? Isn't this a chemical reaction? Isn't this a chemical process here? And this chemical process that goes on in our body, different kind of chemical activities that is going on in our body, we have a term for it, that is metabolic metabolic processes. So due to this increase in the metabolic rate in our body, particularly in the teenage, the rate of respiration is more, and as a result of that, more amount of sweat is formed. More amount of sweat is formed. Okay, now, so that is the main reason behind a secretion of more amount of sweat. Okay, now, so they are inside our skin. There are sweat glands, and then there are oil glands. Oil glands are also called as sebaceous gland. Okay, now, oil gland or sebaceous gland, both of them are the same thing. Okay, so they are present in our bodies, which starts to secrete more oil and sweat during the age of puberty, basically. Furthermore, we observe that many times girls and boys would be getting acne and pimples on the face due to the excess secretion of these glands. If sweat and oil is secreted in too much, so the person would be suffering from acne and pimples. Getting it, guys? So acne is basically it's a skin condition where basically what happens, if you were to look at this is hair follicle. This is a hair follicle. Huh? Have you guys ever plugged a hair, like accidentally? Let's say if a hair gets plugged from our head, so you might see a whitish structure at the end of the hair. Have you noticed that? That white
Yes, sir.
bulb-like structure, yeah, right? Huh. So that is called as hair follicle. That is basically the root of the hair. So this is what the hair follicle is. Hair follicle. So sometimes what happens, that this hair follicle may kind of get clogged with oil. If too much of oil is produced, now let us say too much of oil is produced. Let us say that, pay attention to this here. This is a oil gland, right? This one is an oil gland, and the another one is this hair follicle. And say that this yellow substance is the oil produced by it. So if too much of oil is produced by this, So the hair follicle, what happened to the hair follicle here? Yes, guys, what happened to the hair follicle? It got clogged with oil. Right now, it is clogged with oil. So thereby, what will happen? What will happen? This will lead to pimples or can lead to whiteheads or blackheads. Okay, now. So this is the reason of pimples or blackhead or the whiteheads. When too much of oil is secreted by the oil or the sebaceous gland, so thereby that oil will clog the hair follicle, and that as a result of that, why do we get pimples and acne when we are okay? So during that time also, because of the basically the there's an increased hormones. Okay, now, like usually during the menstruation cycle, pimples are usually more common. That is more common because the secretion of hormones should be fluctuating. Sometimes more amount of hormone will be produced, sometimes less hormone will be produced. And basically what happens, the gland that will be affected during the menstruation, this is the sebaceous gland. So sometimes the sebaceous gland will be producing more amount of oil, sometimes it will be producing less amount of oil. So usually during the menstruation cycle in the girls, it is most common to get pimples. Getting it? Hope it clears the doubt. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mhm. That is one thing. Okay. Now also there are several other changes during the menstrual cycle. There will be mood swings. The sleep cycle may get disrupted, and there are lots of other changes that the female child have to go through. Okay. So this was about the oil and the sweat gland. Next, we would be learning about some other changes like change in the shape of the body. Okay, but let's do some questions. I'm going to give some questions. You guys will be required to define adolescence, and define puberty. Okay, all of you. Let's start from who would like to define it first. Yes, anyone of you? Let's start from Khadija.
Sir, both of them.
No, at least one of them.
Adolescence is when a young person develops from a child to an adult.
It's a rather you should be saying that it's a phase of transition between childhood and adulthood, during
Yes, sir.
which the body would be undergoing certain changes. Okay. Okay, next, Chakrika or Aleph, anyone else? Yeah, Aleph, you define adolescence.
Sir, age between childhood and adulthood.
Okay, and add some more points, during which the body will undergo several changes. Okay, during which the body will undergo several changes and make the person reproductively mature. Okay. Okay, Chakrika, you define puberty.
Yes, so puberty is a phase where the body undergoes physical changes, preparing for its sexual maturity.
Okay. Okay, basically it's the period during the adolescent, basically where the boys and girls would reach sexual maturity and will become capable of reproduction. Good. Okay, Gauri, you are left. Define puberty.
So puberty is the period of time in life when animals and humans are capable of reproduction.
Capable of reproduction. Good. Okay, when the girls are said to have attained puberty, Khadija, you answer this one. When the girls are said to have attained puberty. When girls are said to have attained puberty. and you just Khadija, you will be answering. Let's divide it among Khadija and Chakrika. Both of you will be answering this. Another one you will be asked. You guys will be answering about boys. Okay, now Alif and Gauri. Yeah, answer it before the class ends.
Sir, 10 to 13.
10 to 12. Okay, what about you,
Sir,
Khadija?
10 to 13.
Hmm. Is that correct, Khadija?
Yes.
That is correct. 10 to 13 years. So girls are said to have attained puberty at the age of 10 to 13. Okay, now. So at that time, what happens? The reproductive organs have become mature, and mature ovums are produced in the body. Okay, next.
Sir, 11 to 14 or 15. Yes.
Okay, what about Aleph? You? It's usually 12 to 14. Okay. It's usually 12 to 14 in the case of the boys, and here 10 to 13. So puberty starts early in whom? In the
Girls.
girls, it starts early.